Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump is the president-elect of the United States of America.
Ooh!
He won, and I'll tell you one thing, elections are real. Elections are real. Sorry we didn't really live stream the night of the election. I got very ill. I have pneumonia. So overlook the way I sound. I'm still very sick, but we just could not pass up the opportunity to stop, talk about this, and reflect on what led to this historic moment, whether you are on the side that is partying right now and full of hope, or you are on the side that is calling crisis hotlines and full of despair. That seems to be the two extremes.
I think that's it. That's it, Josh.
Yeah.
If I had to give a first take,
Yep. First take.
common sense won on Tuesday evening. In my opinion.
Yeah.
Common sense won.
Uh-oh.
Oop.
Oh, lost my microphone.
Ooh, ooh.
Uh-oh. There we go. Hello.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, my mic has died.
It ruined our... You want to try this mic?
Yeah, I'll have to
Okay.
move. It's the cable. I'll move seats.
Okay. Sounds good, brother. No, I think...
There we go. That's better.
There we go. I think common sense won the day. And I'll explain why later. But it was a convincing victory. A landslide.
It was a
In
landslide.
basically every way I think that you can possibly categorize it. Electoral collegely, if that's a
It's
term.
not, but the electorate.
The electorate.
The electorate.
In the popular vote. And it looks like he's going to take all of
The House and the Senate.
House and the Senate, the Republicans. And
And look, to me, it's not so much really even about common sense. This is a rejection of the insane reality that the corporate machine is trying to push on us.
I agree.
It is the population, the population of the United States saying we outright reject all of this nonsense that you have been pushing on us for 8 years now. Mm-hmm. And I would love for this to be an opportunity for the Democratic Party to stop, reflect, and have some time of great self-introspection to say, where did we go wrong? How did we lose the vote of the everyday person? How did we do that? And Bernie Sanders, actually, if you want to pull up what I have on the screen there, you can just pull up the two plus the screen share. He actually shares some insight into this, and it's pretty good. Now, I'll preface this by saying that I lost all respect for Bernie Sanders when he let the DNC screw him out of the primary and install Hillary Clinton. So it's not like the Democratic Party doesn't have a history of subverting democracy that they so loudly claim to champion. But his statement says, I'm going to pull it up on my computer and read it because I can't read it off that screen. But it's a good one. It's a good one. Bernie Sanders says, and I quote, if it'll ever load, "It should come as no surprise that the Democratic Party, which has abandoned the working class people, would find that the working class have abandoned them. First, it was the white working class, and now it is Latino and black workers as well. While the Democratic leadership defends the status quo, the American people are very angry at what changed. Sorry. And they're right. Today, while the very rich are doing phenomenally well, 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and we have more income and wealth inequality than ever before. Unbelievably, real inflation accounted for weekly wages for the average American worker are actually lower now than they were 50 years ago. That's insane. Today, despite an explosion in technology and worker productivity, many young people will have a worse standard of living than their parents. And many of them worry that artificial intelligence and robotics will make a bad situation even worse. Today, despite strong opposition from a majority of Americans, we continue to spend billions funding the extremist Netanyahu government's all-out war against the Palestinian people, which has led to the horrific humanitarian disaster of mass malnutrition and the starvation of thousands of children. Will the big money interest and the well-paid consultants who control the Democratic Party learn any real lessons from this disastrous campaign? Will they understand the pain and the political alienation that tens of millions of Americans are experiencing? Do they have any ideas as to how we can take on the increasingly powerful oligarchy, which has so much economic and political power? Probably not. Even Bernie said, how long have I been saying that we live in an oligarchy?
A long time.
How long now? In the coming weeks and months, those of us concerned about grassroots democracy and economic justice need to have some very serious political discussions. Stay tuned. Bernie.
Damn.
For the win. And he's right. He is absolutely right.
100% right. I've spent the last few days trying to talk all my lefty friends off the ledge. And it's never been more apparent to me that we live in two separate realities.
We do. We absolutely do.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of contributing factors to that.
There are.
One of which I think is that, and again, I said that I was going to try to be nice, but I'm just going to tell you the way I see it. One of which I think is complete delusion. I think a lot of people that take the left perspective are delusional about what they hear something and they take it to be absolute truth. You don't bother to look at the minutia behind anything, and they've seen, well, and listen, it's not like Donald Trump. You know what? You can think he's a despicable person. I don't have a problem with that. But when you have, if this person is Hitler, and you can't win a war of ideas against Hitler, then what's wrong with you?
So,
I don't understand. If that's the view
I agree that they're delusional. I agree that there is a huge swath of the population that's delusional. But why they're delusional is because they've been brainwashed, because we have had the language being used since he announced his candidacy in 2016, when he announced his campaign, is so hyperbolic. It's hyperbole, and it's been hyperbole this whole time. Since he ran the first time in 2016, the media, the left, the political establishment, the elite, they've used hyperbole to the point that nothing can be taken seriously anymore. He's a Nazi. He's Hitler. He's a fascist. He's racist. He's homophobic. He wants to take away women's rights. He wants to take away gay rights. He wants to round up Jews. He's a Russian asset. He's a Russian spy. He's being used by Putin to infiltrate and subvert the United States election and do his bidding. He wants to track women's periods. He wants to execute Liz Cheney by a firing squad. He's a rapist and he's a pedophile, are all things that were said on mainstream corporate media, and it's all bullshit. 100% bullshit. None of it's true. None of it's true. So, it's no wonder that half the population is living in delusion. It's no wonder. The media has lost all credibility. All credibility.
Listen, man, I was talking to some people the other night, and I just made a comment like, well, good thing we're not in a civil war. It looks like that never kind of came to, very like a tongue-in-cheek
Right.
thing.
Right.
one of these individuals proceeded to go off that they are the mother of a handicapped child. Which, of course, like, I have the utmost respect for. That's a hard way to be. But this person was convinced that because supposedly in the Project 2025, I guess they would eliminate pre-existing conditions, and that they had and that they were not going to be able to live anymore. That their child wasn't going to be able to live because Donald Trump was being elected president.
Because Donald Trump's Project 2025, which we went over on the podcast. We went through Project 2025.
I know.
We went through it.
But I mean, honestly, like, can you imagine
Point
living
by point.
I don't understand. We had 4 years of Donald Trump.
Yeah, they're
If
acting
you-
like he's never been in power before, like he's never been our president.
I don't recall there being a, mass die-off of the elderly and disabled
Do they
in the
remember?
previous Trump
Do
administration.
they remember 2017 to 2021?
Apparently not, because I don't get it. I honestly am struggling to and I mean this, like, sincerely, I'm struggling to understand where this is coming from. That, like, it's that hyperbolic, like, and that
It's coming from
hysterical.
It's coming from the mainstream media, the corporate media, and the
Like, is that what the media is now? Like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah, the media, the corporate media, is a propaganda arm for the political, not for the Democratic Party, for the Republicans who are also entrenched in that. It's the
the
establishment.
entrenched Washington establishment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. I'll give them that.
Oh,
All right?
yeah.
I'll give them that.
Because me and you have had this discussion.
But
before.
that was
neither one of us thought that was going to happen.
That was 2022.
Right.
Trump may have had something to do with it insofar as he is the one who picked the Supreme Court justices.
Right.
But he didn't do that. Trump didn't do that. And Trump is not in favor of well, first of all that did was throw it back to the states. That's all it did. It didn't make abortion illegal federally. It just said, hey, this is a state's issue.
Yeah, I know, and I think some people are...
They think that's what's happened.
Yeah, and like...
That's not the case.
Donald Trump has said, like, countless times that he will not be in favor of a national abortion ban.
No, he's not. He's never
Not only will
been.
he not present the idea, but or do that, he's not in favor of it at all. Even if it was come to, he would not be in favor of it.
Even the late, great Ruth Bader Ginsburg believed that Roe v. Wade case had based the right to abortion on the wrong argument, which was a violation of a woman's privacy rather than on gender equality. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. RBG.
That's the closest thing to God that the left has.
Exactly. Exactly. She said it was based on bad case law.
Yeah.
And then it left it open and vulnerable to be overturned, just like it was. And again, I'm pro-choice. I'm pro-choice anti-abortion.
Yeah.
What happened to safe, legal, and rare?
I don't know.
What happened to that?
Again,
that was the argument that we had forever ago.
Well, we've talked about this for a long time. Abortion is a false flag issue.
Yes. Yeah.
It's there really is no argument about this. And we went over this one time. Remember when we looked at the European countries like this? Abortion is not an issue in European. This is not like this is like an issue even in Canada.
The only reason
Mexico,
it's an issue here is because we have a two-party system, and it's one of the social issues they use
to keep us all riled up against each other. That is it. There is the common sense solution is you want it to be safe, legal, and rare.
Yeah, and if you put it back to the states, that's what it does. Then the federal government has nothing to do with it. It can't be part of the two-party system anymore.
Right. But I think what people feel, and this is the reason, and I've said, and Donald Trump, to his credit, said this. Like, he's like, these things should go back to the states. I don't think he said that about abortion, but what was the other one that he sent back to the states?
I don't remember.
Oh, shit, what was it? But anyway, he's articulated this argument, and I am first and foremost, I am a small government guy. I've explained this to people. Like, I think the government needs to be smaller and be more local. It's more efficient that way. And again, I was like, they're talking about cutting the Department of Education. Why do you need a Department of Education on the federal level? You have one in every state, and they don't do a bad job. There's these agencies that exist.
Here's something.
That all they do is just use money.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I got to point out, too, I've seen this argument all day long. I've seen one argument that they want to cut the Department of Education. That is a terrible thing. I've also seen the exact same people complaining about how 70% of the country reads at a fifth grade level.
What good the Department of Education has done.
So
when you create a department and it's gotten to oversee education, and every year since its inception, the national scores get lower and lower, then what are we doing? Could we not be subsidizing this on a more local level? And that is the truth, is the Department of Education is notorious for being a wasteful thing.
it's
Who has a part? Bro, I don't understand. That is just, we're going to have to fundamentally disagree on that, because there's some of these things where I don't think people understand like what it is to be like small government, because there's been so much big government that they're like, oh my, and see, this is why it's so hard to cut once you already have, you know?
Do you know how many government agencies there are?
400 and some, I think. Is that right?
There are, according to 438.
Yeah.
438 government agencies.
So on average, we've created one department per every year we've been in existence. This country has.
Also, there are 15 executive departments. There are over 2,000 other agencies that are created by acts of the Congress that have varying degrees of independence.
So there you go.
2,000.
Nobody can tell me that kind of bloat.
And there are approximately 100 regulatory agencies in the federal government. It is insane.
Well, this is what they're getting at. Like when Elon Musk is talking about, heading the Department of Government Efficiency.
The DOGE.
Which he's like, yeah, it's, you're creating another department. But the whole point would to be like, we need to get rid of all this bloat. And see, I think people have a fundamental misunderstanding too. Like, when people on the right talk about the swamp, what they're talking about is not just going after Democrats.
No.
What it is it's the never-ending bloat of the federal government apparatus that just has departments upon departments, and this department reports to this department. And,
right.
And what it does is it gets so big and so inefficient and so impossible to manage with any sort of efficient level.
It's bureaucracies existing for bureaucracy's sake.
Right. And this is this is the reason why the government is slow to do everything. And get this. How about, you cannot tell me that we as the United States cannot process an immigration application in less than 6 months. Like, that is, we have an immigration problem. Well, you want to know why? Because anybody that could get here actually wants to be here legally.
Right.
Why the fuck would you do 6 months of this government red tape, all this bullshit,
right,
all this stuff, and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait?
Right. Right.
Just to be, get it. Meanwhile, you got people just pouring over the border anyway. Why not just get in the fucking line and
come over the border?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So to say that somehow wanting to make the government more efficient is somehow some sort of
a dog whistle
travesty or nightmare.
It's not. It's literal fascism, Chase.
Yeah, what?
Literal fascism. I swear to God, that's what.
Could you imagine if you could?
It's infuriating
that you could deal with a government agency. Everybody knows this. Try going and dealing with any government agency. Even at the state level, It's awful. But on the federal government, try dealing with Social Security. See how good and efficient they are. Try dealing with any federal government department and see how good and efficient they are. Nobody can tell me that government efficiency is somehow some sort of bad thing. It's not. If it's done correctly, it's absolutely not.
Well, let me switch gears here and let me ask you the question that Bernie Sanders asked, which was, let me find it now. In the coming weeks and months, those of us concerned about grassroots democracy and economic justice need to have some very serious political discussion. Do you think there will be any meaningful look inward from the Democrats that would actually result in any kind of change for the party?
What I've seen in the last 3 days would tell me
No.
unequivocally no. However, I do think there is other people on that side that will take some introspection and some look into this, and they should.
Maybe. I mean, Bernie Sanders is. I think a few have. Overwhelmingly, though, it's been no. There's no kind of
first reaction,
self-awareness.
The first reactions that I heard, and I'm just telling you exactly what I heard live on election night. Some of the first I was watching when they first started to come into picture that this is happen. Running away, on them. Your Joy Reeds. And all that, the first thing was to start to blame the electorate. So you got, I guess, I guess this disproves that America's not ready for a female.
They blame
needs to have a serious discussion about
everything
sexism.
But themselves. Right. There's no accountability when they lose. They double down and call everyone who looks like they may disagree with them names. They call them stupid. They call them racist. They call them bigots. They call them homophobes. They call them fascists. They call them. They can't possibly fathom that they may be wrong. The righteous indignation that is spewed, as they mock, insult, and berate anyone who may not be on their team is disgusting.
It is. And you're not, I hate to tell you, but that's not going to win you the election the next time either.
Well, no.
When you start blaming the electorate. Okay, so let me say one thing that I heard a couple times on election night, and I've heard this cool off a little bit because I think it was a real hot take. But I heard this at least 3 times that night. Is that, America's just not ready for a female president. I can tell you right now, without one hesitation, that America is absolutely ready.
I would have voted for Tulsi Gabbard like that.
100%. And a lot of other people.
In a heartbeat.
And you would not have any problem. But the problem is when you when you put up somebody like Clinton the first time.
Yep.
Who is, they basically just they kicked Bernie Sanders out of the way and gave her it because she deserved it, quote unquote, deserved it because of what all she went through with Bill Clinton and because of her, service as Secretary of State and things like that. Okay, that's not the way real women want to inherit a job. Like, she gave herself a lot, but also terrible candidate. Same thing this time around. They just put Kamala Harris in there because she was there.
Yeah.
With no opportunity for anybody trying to actually primary and do anything grassroots.
They literally subverted the democratic process and installed a candidate who was less likable than Hillary, and then screamed at the top of their lungs about saving democracy. And democracy was at risk.
Yeah.
When they literally skipped the democratic process. What the fuck?
Well, the fact of the matter is they've done nothing for the common working man. They've completely abandoned that.
They've abandoned America. They have completely abandoned America.
It's hard to make an argument for bodily autonomy and female reproductive rights when you're the party that tried to, enforce a vaccine mandate. How do you expect anybody to believe that party when you just saw them try to force people to get a vaccine to work?
Yeah. Yep.
Those two things are not mutually exclusive.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
Right.
And this brings up my next point. The Democrats, this is one really big area, and this is the biggest for me, is they're propping up the corporate establishment machine. And I don't think largely the majority of people who vote on the left don't realize that. For some reason, I don't know how they can't see it. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. It is there glaring you in the face.
I got to give a shout out to Paul Slagle.
Okay.
Paul Slagle commented on something I'd written on Facebook, and I had mentioned that she had campaigned with Liz Cheney, the daughter of Dick Cheney, who was literally the worst enemy of the Democratic Party and the left when we were in school.
Yes.
That was enemy number one,
yes.
Dick Cheney.
Yes.
And your candidate this year campaigned with his daughter, who proudly carries on his legacy and his war
hawkishness.
So, like, how can you make an argument that you're the party of anti-war?
Here's a litmus test. Here's a great
and
litmus.
You're for the other two wars.
Right. What did Paul say? I got to know.
So Paul said, he said that we literally dug up the corpse of Dick Cheney from the bog that we had him entombed in or something. I think it was from the bog that we had entombed him in. I thought that was brilliant.
Here's a great litmus test. If you find yourself on the same side as Dick Cheney of any issue, you're on the wrong side of history.
Absolutely.
Full stop.
Amen.
Full stop. You're on the wrong side of history.
Right.
If you find yourself aligned in any way with Dick Cheney, if we need to call anybody a fascist and Hitler, it's fucking him.
I know. I just don't understand. I legitimately don't understand what the blinders. I don't understand where the blinders are coming from. I don't understand how you cannot see it. But the left, Donald Trump broke the left because they cannot wrap their mind around.
Donald Trump, I want to push back there. Donald Trump broke anybody who is not a populist.
True. He broke the right too. He broke
he broke the right too. Yeah.
And you know what I said on Facebook was that the Republican Party, solely due to the presence of Donald Trump, has ridden themselves of the neocon cancer that they had.
Like Dick Cheney.
And now you're like, Dick Cheney! Come on in. It's like, wait a minute.
What?
Didn't you guys tell me my entire childhood that this person was literally Satan?
He is literally Satan. He is the one who was behind the entire war in Iraq.
And bragging about, I got the, President Bush has endorsed me, or the Bush family, or whatever.
Yeah, I know.
I can't.
I know.
It breaks my brain.
Well, which brings me to my next point. Fascism. Fascism is the word of the day, and that started really ramping up. I guess Kamala Harris abandoned her message of joy towards the end of her campaign and went straight from joy to fascism. So the corporate media are the biggest, as we know, they're the biggest purveyors of misinformation on the planet that desperately try to control the narrative with literal lies and fabrications that are pulled out of thin air, that have no basis in reality whatsoever, while telling us not to believe our lying eyes, as they work with the government and corporations to spoon-feed us a narrative that will lead to increased profits, control and power control and power, and they do this from one side of their mouth, while the other side unironically tells us that any populist movement is fascism. That is the definition of fascism.
That's true.
Literally, the definition of fascism is what they're fucking doing and have been doing since I started noticing it in 2016.
Yeah,
when I became somewhat politically active.
Well, and I think what you see is this main character syndrome.
Oh, God.
Like you said.
Yeah,
that's so true. That they're convinced that because they're
histrionic personality disorder.
Yes, that they set the narrative. They control I think they think that they have their pulse on culture, Meanwhile, they've been
Okay, I see what you're saying. So I was going for something a little bit different. I was talking about the people who record themselves crying. That's specifically who I was talking about when I said they had main character syndrome.
well. You expand that to what I'm talking about is you expand that, you scale that, and that's what you've got systematic. Like you've got that as that's what the left
I see
thinks
what
that
you're
they
saying
do.
now. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
like a collective version of the same exact thing.
It is. It is. I see where you're going with that. Okay. I can get on board with that. No, the whole filming yourself crying is just pure narcissism. It's pure narcissism. I don't believe that these people are serious. I don't believe that these people have any real feelings about the election. I think they're doing it all for likes and clicks and clout online. And it's, quite frankly, it's disgusting.
It is disgusting.
It is absolutely disgusting.
Now, let me say this. I've let my just raw opinions come out a little bit. Let me provide a little bit of pampering to my left friends. I'm telling you right now, I really do think that this will be different in some way. Now, I'm not going to guarantee it's going to be in a good way, but what you're going to see this time around from Trump will be different. There's a completely different cast of characters that are running that show now.
Oh, for sure. Sure.
You've seen a more libertarian, a more like,
well,
for lack of a better word, like a podcast, almost like internet personality type of bend to it.
He's really weeded out a lot of I hope he has anyway. I hope. And that is my hope. I hope that he has weeded out all of the neocons, all of the rhinos, all of the established, the Lindsey Grahams. My God.
And I'd heard that he had floated out Mike Pompeo.
Dude, I know. He has, and I'm... No. Mr. President, if you see, which I know you will never in a million years see this, stay as far away from Mike Pompeo as humanly possible.
He is literally the definition. Like if you look up military-industrial complex,
he is the military-industrial
in
complex.
The dictionary.
Him and Dick Cheney,
military-industrial complex. Last 10 years, Mike Pompeo.
Yeah.
You cannot do that.
No.
Please, God, don't do that. But I'll tell you where I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic on people like Robert Kennedy being able to make a difference in things like the FDA.
Make America healthy again.
Yes, in some of the pharmaceutical, in our unholy alliance between the federal government and these pharmaceutical companies. To be able to make
fascism.
Yes, exactly. I like people like Tulsi Gabbard. If Tulsi gets a cabinet position, I can't imagine her doing anything but good in what she. These are former Democrats, folks.
Right.
These are former Democrats. They're not crazy people. They've formed an alliance with Trump because they see that there can actually be some good be done, and it's those type of figures that really have my attention to see what exactly they can done, what good they can get done in 4 years. If Trump can make a difference on the economy and stay out of all the social issue stuff, let all of that go. You've got the mandate to do and get some low hanging fruit like marijuana legalization. Get some stuff that's really going to ingratiate yourself to somebody. I guess what I'm asking, what I hope he does is put the final nail in the coffin to this progressive woke left bullshit, and to really show the American people that given the right mandate and given the right people, we can get a lot of good done for the country. I hope that's what he does. Now that I'm cautiously optimistic, emphasis on the caution.
Right.
As a libertarian, I think look right now, honestly, if Donald Trump just ends the war in Ukraine and makes the economy better, I'll call it a win.
Less than 12 hours after he won, Hamas is saying they want to end the war. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that.
Now, we don't need to be doing Benji Netanyahu's bidding either. To me, he is the same as Dick Cheney and Mike Pompeo.
That's another thing I'm not crazy
about that.
I do not like we are going to have to push back against that. And
Yeah,
I hope
100%.
that there's be some people in his ear. There's some people there, like RFK has thoughts on that.
Yeah.
I know Tulsi has thoughts on that. Anybody else that comes from that realm, if they can get his
He
ear
needs to
on
listen
that
to them.
issue, listen to them, because it's true. I'm not saying, look, we can do what we should do with Israel, and is protect allow them defend their right to defend themselves.
Sure.
But not to occupy
We're
other
not
spaces.
fighting their wars.
Right.
We have no business fighting wars for
no,
them.
if you want to go fight a war and you want to go into a place and do some really unholy, really fucking unquestionable, questionable shit, that's your own dime. We're not
Right.
paying for it, and we're not going to be a part of it.
No.
You know what I mean? You're your own sovereign country, and we'll help you, and we'll defend your right to defend yourself, but we're not fighting your wars for you.
No, absolutely. Well, it boils down to this. The left, the media, the establishment, the Democrats, and the rhinos, they have no one to be angry with but themselves. Their inability for self-reflection, introspection, self-critique, their ego, the main character syndrome, their self-righteous bastardization of language has led to this moment. They're power-hungry despots, and they're on the wrong side of history. If they want Trump to go away, and if you want Trump to go away, what you need to do is listen to the people that you're insulting. Listen to them, because they have legitimate grievances. They have legitimate problems. And until their grievances and their problems are looked at seriously, you're never going to win them over. But I don't think the left wants to win them over. I really don't. I don't think they want to win them over because they're seen as lesser. It's a freaking caste system. It's
right.
impure. It's the uncleans.
Well, and I'll tell you another thing I'm not going to do, Josh. I'm not going to apologize for feeling the way that I feel, because I tell you what, there were a lot of us that have set up here and me and you don't even really, honestly, we're part of the politically homeless in a lot of ways.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Especially you.
Yeah.
Especially you. Like,
Yeah.
I'm basically everything but a full-blown card-carrying libertarian at this point.
Right. I've been all over the political spectrum, and
Right.
I don't align with either party.
But
I don't want to align with either party.
But in terms of just the two parties, I've been politically homeless in that
Right.
whole dichotomy for a long time. But I'm tired of being told that if I support, Donald Trump or somebody like that I'm a fascist, bigoted, homophobic, racist.
that you want to track women's
Nazi.
periods.
Yeah.
Where the fuck did that come from?
I have no idea. Nobody over here wants to fucking do that.
No.
You think
These
ask
people
yourself,
are insane.
ask yourself.
They are insane. They have lost their minds.
If you're on the left, I want you to ask yourself one question. This is the only question I want people to answer to me. Do you really believe that 60% of America are self-hating Nazi sympathizers? Or is it possible by any fucking stretch of the imagination that you've got a messaging and values problem?
No. Half the country are Nazis and fascists. That's their worldview, I swear to God.
Let me tell you something. If everybody who voted for Donald Trump last night was a Nazi and a fascist, you would see a hell of a lot more of that shit going on every day in your town. Because you want to know who the people who voted for him were? They're the people that walk down your streets that you pass every day. All over the country, in blue cities, in rural America, in suburbia. Educated females came out for Trump, and historic numbers this time came out for Republicans.
Right.
Like, go fuck it. There's no place that you can look in the data.
No.
There's no place that you can look in the data and say that she gained anything.
I guess people may be wondering why we're mad. Like, why are we mad? We won. No, we really
Well, because
didn't.
I've been called a Nazi fascist since fucking 2002.
Look.
And I'm tired of it.
To my friends on the left, if you want Trump to go away, find a way to unite all of us in the pursuit of individual liberty, personal freedoms, and economic success. If the left does those three things, you got me. You got me.
Same here. Same here. I'm telling you right now. Maybe I guess I'm a swing voter.
Oh, yeah, me too. I mean, for sure.
I think more of America is swing voters now than there has ever been.
Even if they're registered Republican or Democrat.
Because I hate to tell you, let me tell both
matter.
parties too.
Yeah.
Is America is tired of you.
Oh, dude. So tired.
And the only thing the Republican Party did any different was they had a guy that came in and completely was just like ending careers, like low energy Jeb, done.
Yep.
All these people, all he had to do was say the one thing, and like it or not, he came in there and made it a populist party.
Yeah.
And guess what? People are digging it.
Yeah. They are, man. They are.
And I'm not going to apologize for it anymore.
Nope. I'm done.
Either.
Done.
It's like, look, I understand the way you're feeling. I can't wrap my head around why, especially this like complete meltdown, breakdown stuff that people are doing, and like depression and suicidal tendency.
Ideation over an election
an
outcome?
election. Let me tell you something. If you got that going on, then you're going to have to tone down. Let me tell you something. We're not in the Red Scare of the 50s. This is not the McCarthy era of America.
Dude, this is the blue scare of the 2020s. I'm telling you, it's the same shit.
Nazi fascists are not going to, and that goes for both sides, because I've heard this from, and the difference is that people on the right stopped buying this and doing this a long time ago.
Right.
But you used to hear, if you just didn't like it, this is communist. There ain't no, Kamala Harris is not a communist.
No, she's an established
Trump.
corporate shield.
Right, is not a communist.
No.
You're giving these people way too much credit for being too idealistic. Like, I'm telling you right now, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump couldn't write a manifesto of their political beliefs.
No.
Neither one of them could.
No, they could not.
So stop giving me this giant hyperbolic curve of bullshit.
Kamala Harris couldn't even articulate any fucking policy that she was going to implement.
Right.
Zero.
And Donald Trump can't articulate it without weaving.
Oh, the weave.
I like to weave.
I like to weave.
I like to weave. Okay, it's not like we're dealing with Stalin.
No,
or Lenin in the Bolshevik Revolution.
We're dealing with Stalin, Lenin, and Hitler all in one person.
No, we're not.
That was said on TV. They literally said that, and people literally believe it.
Like, if you could know how ridiculous I think that is. And that's the reason I have a hard time understanding. I've been trying to be understanding and like look at these people the way that they think.
I can't take them serious.
I know you can't, but I'm just the kind of person that I can't. They're my friend.
I don't engage with them online. I have a lot of friends that espouse these views on the internet.
As do I.
And I don't engage with them. And I was talking to a friend earlier today about it. And I'm going to quote myself. I don't remember exactly what it said in the text, but I said, it's kind of hilarious, sad, and incredibly frustrating all at the same time. It really is. And it speaks to a failed Department of Education. And they're calling us dumb. That's the thing now, is it's uneducated people have elected Trump. Uneducated.
Let me tell you something. Some of the more intelligent people that I know are Trump people.
It doesn't have anything to do with intelligence. It's your people with college degrees are more likely to lean left.
Well, yeah, you want to know that? You want to know why? Because you went to an institution of indoctrination. Because that's all higher education is in America. It's to teach you how to be a nice little leftist.
It used to be just the social sciences, but now it's
everything.
Every single department. And I'm not going to go into all that. But look, if you're online espousing any of this nonsense, I can't take you seriously. I'm sorry. And if you want to talk to me in person about it, that would be great. I would love to. If you want to come on the show and talk to us about it, I would gladly and I will be nice. I'm not going to bring you on and just be a dick to you. But if you want to come on the show and you want to tell us exactly why you feel the way that you do, please do. Please do. Because I would love to know where this is coming from. None of this shit has any basis in reality whatsoever. None of it. None of it.
Where do you think it's coming from?
A lot of it's just coming from people are just sharing memes. Like someone will make a status post and it'll go viral, you know, a status on Facebook or whatever, and it'll go viral, like the period tracker shit or whatever. I don't know. Project 2025 apparently.
That was my conclusion. Is I was like, maybe a lot of it's just coming from like online memeing.
It is.
Literally memeing.
It is. Yeah.
And then I thought, well, no, that's too.
It is. It's all coming from memes. And if you get your political information from memes, maybe here's a good thing. Here's a good thing to do. And I'm not being facetious. I'm not being a dick. I'm being real. If you see something that you think this is insane. I can't believe that they would want to do this. Go check the source material. Try to find the original source of that information. Wherever it is, try to find it. Because I guarantee you, most of the shit that's being shared online, the original source material, is somebody who just made a status and posted it. That's it. It has no basis in reality. Project 2025.
Yeah, the Project 2025 thing is the one I've seen come up the most.
I know.
I had a friend of mine who was like, "You guys really want Project 2025?" I'm like, and I shared our podcast with it. And I felt like we really tried to like be.
We went through point by point.
There was like 2 points out of what, like 30 some odd or something like that. I think there was.
Yeah.
There was like 2 of them that turned out to be true, and they weren't even like.
They were
I was
nothing
like,
burgers.
Okay, well, I can see why you might disagree with that, but me, like, I'm like, oh, hell yeah, all right.
But again,
and it was nothing. Yeah, and it wasn't like something crazy, like wasn't all this stuff that you hear. Like
Project 2025 is going to make it illegal for women to sit in chairs. Project 2025 is going to make it illegal for men to call their women something nice. They're going to have to be mean to them 24/7 and not let them drive.
I don't understand it. It's like, number one, that's not in the document. Number two, it's not Trump's document.
No.
It's the Heritage Foundation, a right-wing think tank for sure.
Yes.
A big one.
Yes. And
but Trump, when they've asked him about it,
what do you think about right-wingers? Like, this is the stuff they've been wanting for years.
There was a point in time there where Trump was getting asked about it so much that he started to get angry about it. He's like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
He's like, I've not read it. He's like, I really don't know who wrote it. He's like, I understand that it's the Heritage Foundation, but they weren't very kind. They were a little slow on the Trump train. And so, again, it's Donald fucking Trump. He's not an idealist.
No,
he's not some,
He's not a politician.
No. Again, the left has this bad idea. They did this same thing with George Bush.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, you're going to have to tell me which one you think George Bush is. Is he the village idiot like you all screamed and said he was? Or is he the criminal mastermind that pulled off the greatest hoax in American history?
Yep. They're doing
on 9/11.
They've done the same thing with Donald Trump.
Yeah, like, so either he's this idealistic Lenin Bolshevik character that's going to literally roll in fascism in like a institutional way, or he's a bumbling, stumbling idiot of a reality
Retard.
TV star.
Yeah.
You need to pick which one. You got, again, stay on point. Stay on message. You're going to have to pick a message and stick with it. It can't be both. And people don't buy it.
Built on lies. Every bit of it.
Well, it's because they think the American people are stupid. Going back to what we were saying just a minute ago.
Yeah.
It's like they think the mainstream media, it breaks their minds.
It does.
But they can't understand. They just completely disregard the fact that maybe, just maybe, the American people see through your bullshit. And they can't wrap their head around that because to them, we're all idiots. I even saw one thing that was like, some guy was like, maybe the left needs to quit referring to the middle part of America as flyover country. I'm like, yeah, you think? You think? You're just now fucking realizing how insulting that is?
Right.
Like the rest of us are just out here, look, them big corn-fed, pig-raising
or the
Republicans.
The Rust Belt.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
Number one,
I don't
how
care about
insulting is that?
that. I could care less about that. I think.
But not only do they have a messaging problem, the message is fundamentally flawed.
Right.
And that's what honestly the most frustrating part about it to me is not even to see these people. I don't empathize with your suffering. I'm not being joyous over people being upset and distraught. I think it's misplaced, but I'm not gonna take joy in it.
I'm not gonna take joy in it.
I will show you no more mercy if you cannot seriously take a step back, look at your own political party, and figure out why the fuck you can't get over the hump on a guy that you call Hitler.
Right.
Again, there's that dichotomy that comes up all the time again. So the guy is Hitler, but you can't win an election against him.
Right.
It shouldn't be. We're not. Trust me. Again, we're not at this point. You should be able to win an election over this guy,
Yeah.
given a decent candidate.
They don't have anyone decent because they don't represent America. They represent the donor class. They represent the political elite. They represent the media. They represent corporations. That's what the Democratic Party has become. And you hear these stories all the time from people, from disaffected liberals. The latest one I saw was an article written by a fundraiser, a staffer for a Democratic candidate who went to the DNC and came away from the DNC realizing she left early. She left early, and she wrote an entire article how she's leaving the Democratic Party. She gets there, and she was very idealistic. She wants to fight for equal rights for women, for the marginalized, for economic equality. And she goes there, and their themes are brat summer and joy and meaningless corporate bullshit. It's all the Democratic Party, and everything they spew looks, sounds, and reads as if it's been brought up by a fucking bunch of white old board members of a corporation.
Laura said something to me very poignant. When she first came out of her shell and would speak about it at first.
Right.
First thing she says to me, and I mean this, baby, I know you're not listening to this because I told you not to. Well, you probably are because I told you not to. But
Don't make me laugh. Oh, I have pneumonia.
But what you we should talk about that. What Laura said to me, one of the first things, she's like, I just hope it can be affordable to live again.
Yeah. But Chase,
That's it in a nutshell.
But Chase, you're putting the price of groceries over the lives of those who are marginalized and who want to the lives of trans people and of women. That's what they say. That's what the other side is saying, that we care more about the cost of living than the lives of women and women's reproductive rights. And maybe I do care more about the price of eggs than if somebody is allowed to go get an abortion.
Well, but it's
I don't
not
know.
just the price of eggs, it's the cost of living.
I know. I'm being
but seriously, Bill Clinton had what he's notorious for, having that sign on his desk that said, "It's the economy, stupid."
Right.
It really is, and you
is.
saw it in a huge way. When things are the cost of living in this country, the inflation has killed, and you see economists, even left wing economists, inflation is the killer.
Yeah.
It will lose you in an election. It will lose because people can't. You start seeing it's hard for people to make it.
Yeah.
And guess what? I hate to say this, but yeah, the American people, when they can't afford to live,
They don't give two fucks about abortion.
They could give a fuck about abortion, could give a damn about
any of it. Any of the social issues.
No.
But that's what the Democrats always do. They go for the social issues over everything.
Well, that's
for
what
some
they've
reason.
done that's what they've done ever since this progressive woke caucus started to bleed it. You need to run away from that as fast as you possibly can.
Yep.
Go woke, go broke. This
is the biggest go woke, go broke I've ever seen.
Oh, 100%. 100%. You saw every demographic in America run away from the Democratic Party.
Yeah. Yeah, you really did.
So I'm not going to listen. You're all about follow the science. Well, follow the fucking math.
Well, dude, again,
Numbers don't lie.
the entire party is fake corporate garbage. It's fake corporate garbage. I'll say it again. It felt like it was made by a boardroom full of white, old marketing executives that are so out of touch with America that this is the kind of bullshit they come up with. It's fake garbage, and we reject it outright.
Yeah. And Joanna said it right this there.
We have to be able to live and survive, and it's got to the point where most people can't. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, that's really just it.
Yeah. Yep.
It's no. Okay, so
I'm going to open this door. I'm dying, man.
yeah, it's hot in here.
And it's
But if honestly, if the Democrats want to never win an election again, and they're okay with just being the party of like all this identitarian, protecting. You asleep over there now?
he's texting.
But if you just want to be the party that's just going to go on identity politics, LGBTQ issues, all this type of stuff, then be that. Do that. But don't ever expect to win an election. Because the Democratic Party can be that. It can be the party that champions those rights, but you also have to protect people's ability to live and make a living for themselves and improve their social status. And it's the most basic of human rights.
Yeah.
Is to live and work and make a decent wage. That's it.
I think really what's happened to the Democratic Party and it is and not just the Democratic Party, but politics at large in the United States, is you've had this big realignment. And the Democratic Party has kind of absorbed all of the establishment politicians. The Republican Party is very quickly turning into the new populist movement that was the Democratic Party 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I mean, my God, Bernie Sanders has more in common with the Republicans now than the Democrats.
I know.
How insane is that? How insane is that? So, again, I said this on the last time that we live streamed, and I'll say it again. It has never been more clear to me that this is not about the right versus the left. This is not the Democrats versus Republican. This is about the establishment
Versus the people.
versus the people.
Yep.
That's what this is about. That's what this election was.
100%.
And I really hope that we sent a message, because he got the popular vote, the electoral vote, the House and the Senate and probably the House. Am I saying that right? We still don't know about one of them. I don't remember which.
The House.
The House. Yeah.
But it's looking good from what I've seen. And,
I hope
and there's a
that
possibility they end up with a not like a super, but there's no such thing as a super majority in the federal government. But
I hope this sends a message to the despots in D.C. who have been using it for a feeding trough.
your time's up.
Their time is up. And I hope this sends a hope that those entities are in their death throes. We need to wrangle in corporations, we need to wrangle in the media, and we need to wrangle in these power-hungry establishment politicians that use and have used Washington, D.C. as a feeding trough for them, their friends, and their families for years.
And listen, here's the other thing I think, too, is if he has both the House and the Senate, has the mandate, and has the right people, there's no reason that he ought not to be able to make real change.
Absolutely.
And he should be held to account for that.
Absolutely. I will hold his feet to the coals.
And the people that resist
anybody.
and the people that resist it need to be held account for it too.
Yep, they do. They do.
Because the time has come. You're going to have to do what's right for the American people.
Yep.
And what's right for the country. Not what's right for Ukraine. Not what's right for Israel.
Yep.
Not what's right for, a certain minority and a certain this other minority or demographic or whatever.
Do
but what's right for all of the American people.
Yep.
Regardless of your race, creed, religion, sex, whatever. Do what's right for the American people.
Yep. Yep, 100%. I really hope that that's the case. I hope that's what Really hope that's what happens. I don't know if it will or not. I'm cautiously optimistic. I do know this. The America's birthday party is going to be lit. Have you heard about this?
Oh yeah, because it's
250 years.
250. What they call that? It's like there was a name, about bicentennial was one, but there's a name for the 250 too. I can't remember what.
So basically, for those that don't know, Trump has declared that July 4th, the holiday is going to extend an entire year, and there is going to be a national fair in Ohio. Is that right? Is that where he's going to put it?
I don't know. I didn't see this.
You didn't see this? Okay, let me pull it up. It's pretty great.
So this is next year, right?
Yeah.
Or no, 2026.
2026. Yeah. Iowa Fair is ready to host Trump's birthday party for America's 250th birthday. We know Iowa State Fair is the best fair in the country. In Iowa, we dream big, and we stand ready to host the Great American State Fair, Reynolds posted on X. They're preparing for the most spectacular birthday party. The fair is going to go on for a year, and it's going to have fairs. It's going to be a giant fair with small fairs from each state in it, representing each state's own culture, food, whatever, and it's going to be for an entire year.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty sick.
The celebration is going to extend literally a year.
How great. I mean, stuff like that's cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's celebrate being Americans, man.
But that's
I like that.
Fascist. I'm sorry, I can't take it seriously anymore because words have no meaning. They've cried wolf and cried wolf and cried wolf. And I've not even touched on half the stuff I wanted to, but that's okay. But I can't take it seriously anymore. I can't. Come to me with a real argument.
Yeah.
With a real argument that's based in reality. With if you say he's saying something that you don't agree with, bring me the original source material. Let's look at it. And if he says something abhorrent, I'll be like, yeah, that's fucked up.
But this is what you're gonna get. But Josh, he's just such a terrible person. How could you choose anything to do with this terrible person?
What makes him a terrible person?
Right. Exactly. Explain to me.
Give me one quality you don't like about him. And okay, fine. Maybe he's crass. Maybe he says naughty words. I've said fuck 30 times on the podcast. I guarantee you the person who's saying he is crass and unprofessional has said way worse shit than he does. Well, we all tend to forget about the awful shit we say on a daily basis.
Right, exactly.
But we do. We're everyone human. We all say things that we shouldn't.
I know. I don't understand it. It's just, okay, well, if that's your best argument.
That's not an argument. That's
not really an argument because, like, I hate to tell you, like, some of the people that we hold in the highest esteem
are terrible people.
Yeah, some of the greatest leaders in our country's history really honestly we're terrible people. In world history, we're terrible people.
Well, we've devolved into MAGA propaganda.
Well, I guess that's where we're at.
I'm sorry, but I can't take it seriously anymore. I can't. I got that to where the night of the election, and I was sick. Oh my God, was I sick?
Like it or not, that's where we're at.
Yep. Absolutely.
And like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic. Look, I'm not some sycophantic Trump supporter. No. I don't know a lot of people that really are at this point.
Far from it.
I think this is a far more pragmatic movement than people give it credit for, too.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
But now the time comes to roll up their sleeves and go to work. You've been given the mandate. Now go to work.
Do it. Go to work.
Do it. Do some good for the country. Things that are going to help people live and prosper.
Every single person on my Facebook, and again, this is anecdotal, every single person who is upset with the results of the election are unfriending people and losing friends over this. and they're the ones saying we're in a cult. Again, they're not serious people. Sorry, it's not. They're not serious people.
Well, there we are.
Here we are.
What more can you really say?
Make America affordable again.
There you go. Thank God. I hope so. Again, cautiously optimistic. We should talk about the local stuff for just a second.
All right, so I am completely out of tune on the local stuff. I have no idea what's going on there.
So, county commissioner, Harley got it again.
Okay.
Lee Ellis
Okay.
and Dale Blevins.
Okay.
I was a little disappointed that Bill Hogue didn't make
Yeah.
it in there. I kind of honestly, from what I heard from just people that I knew and stuff, kind of thought he might have more of a chance. I kind of hate. Also, I know he's the assistant fire chief, and he was down there working his ass off the entire time during this disaster. If you'd have had some time to politic, you could have probably performed a little better.
Probably.
You really got to politic about a month or 2 months before, and unfortunately,
The local elections kind of took a really big backseat too to the
Yes,
national
they did.
stuff. Like
They did.
they were really overshadowed by all of that.
But Harley still holding. I just speaking purely off of
Yeah.
what I've heard from people. We've had Harley on here a couple times.
She's quite popular.
She's quite popular.
Yeah.
And going to be hard to take out.
Yep.
I'd heard some rumblings that there were some people that weren't particularly happy with some of the stances she had taken. But didn't seem to materialize.
No.
I don't think she got
Good for her.
quite as few votes as
Right.
as Dale and Lee did, but still, that north end of the county's coming in good for the. I kind of wanted to have one of those maps. It's like,
Yeah.
and I tried to do that a little bit on
Did
the
you?
thing. Oh yeah, I went to the state board of elections page. It's pretty interesting when you start breaking down like the it breaks it down even like by precinct in Mitchell County. It's like up here in Hanging Rock, we got,
Oh, that's great.
so.
That's great.
But,
well, congratulations to those who won.
Yeah, and then I guess Brenda and Sam got back on the school board.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Ralph handedly won
Yeah.
re-election against his Democrat challenger. I hadn't heard really anything about that guy.
The state,
Honestly.
our governor went to Democrat, which honestly I'm fine with. I was not a big fan of Mark Robinson.
I think Mark Robinson, I honestly, this is the reason when I was doing that night, I did do a little election cover. You didn't
You did.
see it.
No, I was asleep. I was gone.
Yeah, you were gone. But it's hard. It turns out election coverage, very hard solo,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah. Sorry, man. I'm so sorry.
It's some dry subject matter to talk about,
It
especially
is.
when there's not really anything happened yet on the national level. And I couldn't
Right.
really have like a strong opinion.
Right.
You're just waiting on states to be called.
Right.
But I played Crystal and Saugers thing a couple times just when I took a break or whatever. But anyway, I was convinced. When I first started, I was like, I was using the 270 to win.
Right.
And filling it in. I honestly thought Harris had a good chance to win North Carolina because I could not fathom that there would be that many people go out and vote for Trump and not for Mark
Robinson. Yeah.
Like that split ticket just seemed really hard to me to accomplish.
Well,
Well, turns
looking at
out-
one. I didn't vote for Mark Robinson.
I didn't either. I didn't vote for him either. Some of the things after when that online stuff,
Yeah.
his September surprise killed him.
Yeah, it did. It did.
And I was already a little bit like not real comfortable with some of the crazy rhetoric. And I think by and large, a lot of those like heavy MAGA people that had just really been swept in on this whole thing, if they just like said something controversial, they just got kind of swept into office. Like they didn't perform well, a lot of those people.
No.
I think you kind of had to be somewhat of a principal. And there were people, and people, again, you think people are stupid. Well, there was a lot of Republicans that came out and pulled the ticket for Trump and didn't for Mark Robinson.
Yeah.
A lot, by like 15. I think the final count was like 16 points. He lost, he got crushed.
Yeah.
Got completely crushed.
Yep. Yep.
I think a lot of people voted Libertarian or just didn't vote at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. From all indications, I think basically what you're doing with Josh Stein is pretty much just Roy Cooper
Right.
2.0, little younger. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's kind of the impression. I read into him just a little bit just to kind of see.
Yeah.
Like, he seems like he has maybe just a smidge more personality than Roy Cooper's paper bag.
Yeah.
But I think you're pretty much just going to get the same. And he's working, again, it's a Republican supermajority, which has always been really weird about North Carolina. North Carolina has a very hard time electing Republican governors.
It really does. Yeah.
They really do.
Who was the last one we had?
It was Pat McCrory. But he got crushed because of the whole trans bathroom. He got cancel cultured out.
He did. And we had one before that, too, that got in big hot water over their dealings with Duke Energy. Duke Progress or whatever. Who was that? Oh, gosh. I don't remember.
Just thank God it's not Ma Bev. Bev Perdue Lord, she couldn't even form a sentence, dude.
No, I know.
Boy, when Bev, listen, and this is not because she's a woman, but that poor lady, maybe she was more spry in her younger age, but buddy, when she was governor, it was pitiful.
It was her age, man.
Yeah, it just literally was. Like, she could literally not put a sentence together. Like, you think Biden's bad. She wasn't all that old, but she took a real dive, I think, when she got into office.
Pretty fast decline her health.
I was trying to think if there were any other kind of consequential ones. I think pretty much the rest of it was pretty much how, on the state level, was how about anybody expected it to go.
Yeah.
But I mean, I looked at the Buncombe County numbers at one point on the stream. And it was like Buncombe County was surprisingly, even though they got crushed during this storm, and they're the biggest county in western North Carolina and got some of the heaviest devastation, they were one of the first counties to report in 100%.
Really?
Yeah, surprisingly, which was, I mean, testament to them. Kudos.
Yeah.
To anybody that did, and all these election workers that set these things up kind of on the fly. There was a lot of places, like there were places where elections were supposed to be held that they were destroyed.
Yep.
People didn't know where to go. I honestly think you had one of the best turnouts in western North Carolina. That was another thing I looked at. Just turnout in all the counties in western North Carolina was historic.
Yeah.
Even though like there's quite a few of us who are still very much dealing in recovery mode from a major flooding event.
Yeah. From a major
kudos,
hurricane.
man. Everybody needs to give them a big thank you.
Resounding round of applause.
Yes, great job. And everything seemed to be peaceful.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Yeah. We're gonna probably get to cover some riots, I'd say.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I tell you what happened. This is another thing, and maybe this is good for the country.
Right.
But he won in such a resounding way that it makes it hard for anybody to be real rambunctious about it, because it's kind of like you just got shellacked. It's like if it was one of these razor thin elections or whatever, either party would have called foul.
Yeah. I agree. 100%.
I saw it start to happen late in the night when on especially on Twitter. You started seeing some of these big DM accounts or whatever start calling foul and all this, and then really when it started to really roll over and the picture became clear that you're going to win a landslide in the electoral college, you're going to win both the Senate and the House most likely. There's been a shift in every demographic. Like, you can't argue with that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And that quickly
my God,
just kind of faded off.
40% of California went to Trump. That's insane.
40%?
40% of California.
God.
Yeah. Yep. And if you look at if you pull up, county by county or area by area, whatever, red versus blue, there are no blue states. There's only blue cities.
That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it's county by county. Yeah, there are no blue states.
Yeah, you look at those maps. I've seen some ones that, like, when
there are blue cities, there are no blue states.
When Obama came in the first time, that was the last election of anywhere near this magnitude
for sure.
Had.
For sure.
Not even it. This was bigger than that.
No. And I'm ashamed to say I voted for Obama.
I think a lot of people did. But again, the left's going to need somebody like that again.
Yeah.
That can come in and give some fresh vision, some fresh thing, and convince people that.
Well, Obama was good at convincing us that he was going to do that.
Right.
When he came in and was Bush 2.0.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, he governed
Make meaningful change.
Yes,
Yeah.
meaningful change. Don't offer us platitudes. We're over that shit.
Yep.
Over it.
Let's get you off here, brother.
Alrighty, y'all.
And for those of you who don't know, Josh has gotten recovering from pneumonia.
I've been very ill the past few days, but I'm getting better. I'm on some good antibiotics. I have a great physician that's taking really good care of me. And everybody, please smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Really, really, really helps us a whole lot. Sorry, I'm kind of out of it, but we really appreciate all of your support. And if you like what we do here, you can go support us on Patreon at patreon.com/thewhirlingwrap.
And get down there and support Big Al.
Yeah, Big Al's Pack and Ship.
Let's run it.
Our sponsor. Let's run the ad.
Josh,
Chase,
before we continue this podcast, I've got this package I absolutely have to get out
right now,
immediately.
this second,
It's critically important.
you've got to go to Big Al's Pack and Ship.
Duh. How could I have forgotten? Our very first sponsor.
Yeah, and they'll ship it out any way you want, FedEx, DHL, or UPS.
And somebody told me Big Al's also has mailbox. Now, is that true?
They do. We should totally get one so we can be showered with gifts by our adoring fans.
100%. And they'll shred all of your important documents for you.
Thank God, so we can get rid of all this evidence before the FBI gets here in the morning.
That's absolutely true. And our NDAs that we have to get notarized.
We can get them notarized too after we fire all of our employees.
Of course, we're big on NDAs.
We sure are.
Yeah,
we sure are.
absolutely.
And when it's time to move,
They've got you covered with U-Haul rental. Any U-Haul you want, and all the moving supplies to get you started.
wow. They also offer copying, faxing, and greeting cards. They really are a one-stop shop.
We use them all the time with our business in the construction industry. They've notarized all of our construction documents and construction contracts.
This is a service that we both personally use. I ship guitars out and other musical equipment that I sell on occasion. Big Al's has always been really good to us.
No joke. So if you got something to ship out or any of those services that we talked about before, go see Big Al. He'll take care of you. Roan Road in Spruce Pine.
Big Al's Pack and Ship.
We give a shit.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. We really hope that you'll give us a like and a follow, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, we love you all.
See ya.
Peace.